I understand your opposition because I believe there are other members of the committees that seem to be confused on that. Would this be similar to a drug manufacturer not wanting their drugs to be used in the case of lethal injection because they disagree with capital punishment?
That could be a close analogy.
It's a standard where they disagree with what the purpose of their product is going to be used in such a way that they don't feel that they could compel themselves to be involved.
I mean, I'm not sure that, taking someone's life would be the same as, a
I
same-sex
understand.
marriage. I mean, I think that's...
I'm trying to put analogies.
Yeah, it is a difficult thing. I mean, it's hard to find an analogy that makes sense. I mean, that's why we come back
You
to the
would not,
notion of...
I'm assuming, support a bakery not being, telling someone that I'm not going to sell you a sandwich at our sub-counter.
Correct.
But since marriage is something that is a sanctity that is just the core.
Representative Kelly, I'm
Someone's
sorry,
belief.
but there's no marriage in this bill. We're talking about employment law. Representative McManus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to inquire on the bill itself. I think the chairman's absolutely right. I want to make sure that we keep this narrow because I think we're kind of getting a little off topic. The bill has really two protections, just housing and employment.
It also has public accommodations as well.
And public accommodations.
Right.
Oh, and is that the area of your concern?
That's the area of my concern.
Okay, so
Because that's the area that in the other states where these folks have been, brought before the Board of Discrimination, that's the area that they've been brought up on.
So the bakery analogy that you're using, is that a concern that would fall within the public accommodation section of the bill?
Yes.
Okay. That answers my question. I was just trying to figure out, because the way an employer is defined is very narrow. I mean,
Correct.
it's specific. Okay, thank you.
Representative May?
To inquire, please.
Go ahead.
So you're testifying for, I'm sorry, I missed that. You're testifying representing
Missouri Catholic Conference.
Missouri Catholic Conference. And we're saying public accommodations in the form that a business provides service to somebody that they don't agree with their social conscience, or they don't agree with what they're doing. So, I'm trying to figure out, you saying that, so you gave the idea of the baker,
Right.
and he bakes cakes and that's his business, but he can't bake cakes for people that are same-sex getting married. He don't want to be at a wedding because that's against his faith and his beliefs, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so you're supporting that public accommodation.
What I'm saying is if we amend the law the way the bill is presented,
Mhm.
that a baker could be forced to do that against his will, because the law is the way the law is.
So, in the law.
And if he didn't do it, then he could be brought up for discrimination under the law.
But what we're saying is,
Charged
we
with
have a group of people who are being discriminated against, and we're trying to add that so there can be no discrimination in businesses or anything. Like you bake a cake for a regular person, you bake a cake for me, you take pictures for me, you understand? And the
Understood.
reason I want to say that is because you're saying you're representing the Catholic, faith, and we serve, I know, all sin is sin, if that's what you're talking about. Is that what we're talking about? Because if it's a social conscience and you're saying that's not your faith, my faith doesn't support liars, my faith doesn't support adultery, my faith doesn't support cheating. All of that is in my faith, but we can't see it. So therefore, we try to identify with, what we see.
Point of order.
He's representing the Catholic faith.
Debate on the same topic.
No, he's talking about public accommodation.
Point of order on.
Well, you're just talking about public accommodation, and all I'm saying is, and you're testifying for the Catholic faith, and I understand that. I'm saying that, our conscience in our faith doesn't agree with a lot of things in our faith, but we only can see certain things. So the things that we see, we want to raise our moral conscience, but the things that we know but are not visible, that can be hid, we don't want to raise our moral conscience. You get me? We can service. I can bake a cake for a liar. I can bake a cake for, you know, an adulterer. I can bake a cake for, you get what I'm saying? You know, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, you know, just because I don't morally agree with this, and it's more visible than the other things I don't morally agree with, so therefore I don't want to put it in law. It's like, you know, it just reminds me. Do you see what I'm saying? Is it not the same?
I think I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is that there needs to be space in the law. If we're going to amend this bill, there needs to be space for people to say, I can't, as a matter of conscience, participate in a same-sex wedding ceremony, for example. And if we're going to have the state then come in and say, no, you have to do that, I mean, do you think that's what the law should be? I mean, I'm just asking you. I mean,
Yeah,
you have
I
to
do,
do
because
that.
they had to come in and say that for race. They put race in there.
Understood.
And they put sexual in there because, you know, women were being discriminated against. Because women, you know, at the time, we couldn't even vote. You know, we had to put that in there as a protected class in order to protect us. You know, they wouldn't, you know, we couldn't work, you know, in certain places. So they would discriminate us in work. We're still being discriminated in same positions where they're paying our counterparts higher than us. So what I'm saying is, you know, sometimes the law has to come in to protect people from the people's, you know, what I call imperfect moral conscience, you know. And sometimes I think the law has to come in and protect people from people. And that's weird to say because the faith should be protecting people from people. Because, you know, Jesus even said, he who has not sinned, cast the first stone. Everybody walked away because nobody's conscience, moral conscience was clear. That's all I'm saying.
Other questions for this witness? Representative Walker.
Take Clark.
Ed?
Okay. The Catholic Church, what impact would this bill have on the Catholic Church if you were to find out that one of your priests were gay?
I don't think it would have any impact.
So you'd allow the priest to be gay, or what? I mean, so it's okay to have gay priests, right?
Well, I'm sure we have gay priests.
So there's nothing wrong with having a gay priest. So say if I'm a heterosexual and I go to IC or Mary Immaculate or whatever church, I'm not Catholic, but say I was, and I was going to get married to a straight lady, and I'm a straight guy, but I didn't want to have a gay priest marry me. Now, what recourse would I have? Does this law apply to that, or?
No, I don't think it would apply to that situation.
That's a little sarcastic,
Yeah.
but I just think that you just can't discriminate against people, period, regardless. And, you know, I'm not gay, I'm not gonna judge other people, but, you know, this issue is something that we need to address, and we need to address it now and get on with other things that are important. Not that this is not important, but to dance around something is not a good way to address an issue like this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I hear others in opposition to the bill, please?
Mr. Chairman, Committee, for the record, Kerry Messer on behalf of Missouri Family Network. This is difficult legislation to deal with. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of people who do face improper discrimination in our culture. We decry indiscriminate discrimination that makes no sense. It hurts people. But if any legislation that we deal with in the legislature is a potential Pandora's box, we have no idea what's inside that box till that door is open. This would be it. Just recently, there's been news accounts that Facebook, you know, one of the most widely known, used social medias that's become so popular in today's culture, they identify and recognize 51 gender identities. This legislation only acknowledges 3. I don't know where we're going, public policy, but we need to be very, very cautious as we move forward with this. The problem is, I can't see your sexual identity. We have civil rights law, and we need civil rights law. That civil rights law, with the exception of religious liberties and religion, which was the item that this nation was founded on. And that's the only reason it's an exception. But that exception, every other category is something that's plain, that you can identify when someone walks in the room. This is something you don't know if a person has this particular protected class. So as it works out, here's the problem. This is civil law, not criminal law. In criminal law, you're innocent till proven guilty. The burden is not on you. The burden's on the state. But in this case, in civil law, the accused is burdened to prove their innocence. We all know that blatant discrimination, which harms people, is absolutely wrong. The problem is the business community faces hard choices every day. And we're developing a body of law here that puts our business community at all kinds of risk they can't see until after some claimed harm has been done. I'm not saying that there's not bad business people or bad owners that would discriminate in an improper way. But to fix that problem, we have to be very cautious we don't swing the pendulum so far the other direction that we don't end up hurting all the good people because we're trying to fix and create a way to deal with the few bad people. Decisions are made every day. These decisions are made based on behaviors, not perceptions. Without immutable characteristics, these particular policies encourage the very behaviors that disrupt business and industry and commerce in order for those individuals that would be encouraged to display the wrong behaviors in public, for them to garner more security on the job or whatever the situation is, public accommodation. It's like the more outward you are with your behavior, the more protected you become. And so I don't know how this policy helps fix the problem. It seems to me this policy aggravates the problem in that regard. So that's why we would oppose the legislation. And thank you for listening to me this morning.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions of the witness?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Others in opposition? Are there those here for information purposes?
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is James Roark-Groner, and I'd like to address you informational purposes only. I just want to make clear that I'm here on my own behalf and not anybody that I work or intern with. As you guys have been told, 95% of Fortune 500 companies offer protection for LGBT employees. 61% of those offer for the transgender community. I would like to quote some of the business owners of Fortune 500 companies and what they have to say about employment non-discrimination. At Dell, diversity is more than the essential element of our corporate values. It is a force that helps shape the company that we strive to be. We recognize diversity is the key to succeeding in the marketplace, fostering a winning culture where Dell employees are highly talented, committed, reflective of our global customers, and recognized as our greatest strength. As Monsanto says, their Vice President, Nicole Rasberg, we are proud of our company's diversity and focus on inclusion to ensure that every voice is heard and every person is treated equally. It is essential and critical to our success. As Darden, Senior Vice President of Darden, we embrace diversity, inclusion as a business imperative that is crucial to our success and future growth. We believe that understanding and embracing our unique differences enriches our corporate culture and enables us to be a stronger, high-performing organization. Verizon fosters diversity and professional development by creating an environment where all employees are provided the resources to achieve success. Our policies are designed so we can attract the most talented people. Our credo says we embrace diversity, not only because it's the right thing to do, because it is smart business. Dow Chemicals. Our culture of inclusion is not only a matter of equality, of fundamental human rights, it is a critical and crucial business imperative playing a fundamental role in attracting and retaining the best and brightest talent. Dow also goes on to say that while states in the U.S. and abroad have yet to pass protecting LGBT people from discrimination based on their sexual orientation and gender identity, Dow has actively pushed for federal legislation regarding those. Hartford Diversity and Inclusion, which is the core value within our organization, enables us to attract, develop, retain talent. We are committed to ensuring our workplace programs and policies are competitive in today's marketplace. We aspire to create an environment that values the background, skills, experiences that each one of our employees bring to the workplace. In conclusion, if we want to attract high-quality jobs to Missouri, the companies that are going to make that happen believe in equality, and so should the state of Missouri. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Other questions for the witness? Thank you, sir. Are there others here to testify for information purposes? None appearing. This will conclude the hearing on House Bill 1930. Thank you very much. Concludes the committee hearing.